For 4 decades, Cardiovascular Institute of the South and Terrebonne General Health System have partnered to deliver a legacy of cardiovascular innovation. We lead the state in advanced programs and complex procedures that you won't find anywhere else. Our specialized treatments for peripheral vascular disease, artery and vein disease, heart valve and structure conditions, arrhythmias, and more attract patients from around the world. Together, we deliver the cardiovascular care that you deserve. Visit tgncis.com to learn more.
And welcome back to Bayou Time. We're going to talk about a topic, human trafficking. And I know a lot of you out there in the audience are going, wait, here in Terrebonne Parish? Well, just listen in and we're going to explain. Marina Pizzolato is on board. Marina, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
All right, and Danielle Walker is on board. And Marina is the board president of We the People Bayou Community. Danielle is the board secretary. And we're going to have a good discussion today, much needed discussion, right?
Yes.
All right, so Marina, why don't we do this? Y'all have an Ebony's video that y'all supplied us. Let's get the ball rolling. We could roll that in, and then we'll come on the tail end and we'll talk a lot about it. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right, let's roll that in if we can, Jason.
Hi, my name is Ebony, and I am a former community case manager. I also used to work in a juvenile treatment facility for kiddos who were sexual offenders, juvenile sexual offenders. Many of these children were also victims of sexual violence themselves. I am looking to partner with parents, teachers, members of the community, and agencies that are looking to help improve the lives of children here in Louisiana. Recently, Children's Rights and Aid Organization, Save the Children, conducted a report that identified Louisiana as being the worst state for children to live in. As part of their report, they found that Louisiana has higher than average rates for children in school dropouts, teen pregnancies, child deaths, which include child homicides and suicides, as well as in child poverty and in child hunger. Beyond, these, when we are talking about ways to help improve the lives of children, one of the things that we don't often talk about or hear talked about enough in our community is the topic of child sexual abuse and human trafficking. According to the Office of Human Trafficking Prevention here in Louisiana, 83% of human trafficking victims are under the age of 17. Additionally, like is common across the country, many of these victims are victimized by people that they know. Accurate data in Louisiana per the Office of Human Trafficking Prevention is skewed just because we have a lot of underreporting and an inability to properly identify what is human trafficking. So we are working to help people understand what this topic is. It's a very uncomfortable topic for many people, but it's a necessary conversation that we have to bring an end to these practices that harm our children and harm our state. So I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. Please reach out and we will be in touch. Thank you.
Wow, that's shocking to listen to and to hear. Marina, when did y'all decide y'all wanted to do something about this? What was the catalyst for you to decide, hey, we got to get involved locally?
Well, we had a prayer group, Heal Our Land. And when we first found out about some of the issues, some of us have been digging for a long time. In 2020, we decided to form We the People. And this subject is where God grabbed my heart and said, we need to make a difference. We've been researching and looking into it for years, but it's been one of those conspiracy theories. Yeah. And now that all of the information's coming out on Epstein, P. Diddy, all the other trafficking that you're hearing about, and Sound of Silence, the movie. I don't know if you saw that or not, but that was really profound.
No, I did not.
Yes, and then the information about the border. We knew that our community, we felt our community was a little silent about it. It was a taboo subject to speak about. And so we had a meeting last year in Thibodaux, and this is the meeting that we're having in Houma because we're a tri-parish organization. And so the name of this is Breaking the Silence.
Wow. Why do you think it's, I'm going to go to Danielle real quick. Why do you think it's underreported? Are people still scared to come forward?
I think people are scared to come forward. I think people that may be victim to this are super vulnerable and I mean, maybe fear their traffickers also, fear retribution, fear for their lives, and just want some level of normalcy. I started learning about sex trafficking in 2013. I went with my church to Greece, which is one of the largest trafficking hubs in the world. Wow. And the things we learned there were just absolutely horrifying. And then I was living in D.C. at the time and came back, and there were young women in one of the richest neighborhoods in Virginia, which is one of the richest neighborhoods in the country, being trafficked out of their homes without their parents' knowledge at that time. And that made it a lot more real. You know, it's not just something that's over there. It's something that was really close to me. And now we're learning. I'm a CASA volunteer as well, and this is something they train us on a lot because this is something that's happening in Terrebonne Parish.
It's shocking that parents wouldn't know. Of course, you know, kids can be pretty
sneaky.
Smart too. Sneaky would be a better word, but I'm glad y'all coming forward. This takes a lot of courage to do that. So big meeting too coming up on this, right?
Yes.
Can we talk a little bit about it in the first segment? We'll bring up a flyer if we could.
Okay. The meeting is this coming Thursday, January 16th. It starts at 6:30. The doors open at 6. You can see the information up there. We advise that you call and you don't have to purchase a ticket, but just save a place for you because we only have seating for 120. Father Bahi is our main speaker. He's from Metanoia Manor. He has a home for trafficked children, girls. We have Monica Taylor from the governor's office who's coming in to speak also. And we have Representative Beryl Amity from District 51. And then we have Taylor and Madison from the District Attorney's Office, the Advocacy Center, that are going to speak. In addition to that, we have some other organizations that are going to be in the back of the room. Free NOLA, the Haven, the Governor's Office is bringing information. Metanoia Manor is going to bring information, and also our local DA's office is going to be going to bring information. They'll be staffing that table, and then we'll have information people can take home for any questions they might have.
I know some people may be watching this program after Thursday, so it may be dated, but we're going to keep the information out. We're going to cover the program on Thursday.
Great.
Also, so we'll take a break. We'll have more guests. Friday, a very tough topic that people need to hear about, human trafficking. We'll be right back.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
State level, what are we dealing with to maybe educate the public on? Because people get confused.
Yes. Well, sex trafficking and human trafficking are often spoken of interchangeably, but they're not necessarily the same thing. You might remember several years back, whenever it was discovered that there were work camps in Louisiana where unscrupulous entities had brought foreign workers here with temporary work-type visas, but they kept these people working for very low wages in very poor living conditions, and then they allowed all their paperwork to expire and didn't help them to get legitimate paperwork to stay here legally, and it was just a travesty. So that is human trafficking. It probably didn't have anything to do with sex trafficking. It was labor force trouble. So not every case of human trafficking involves sex trafficking. So that's one point to make.
All right.
Now, sex trafficking does not involve all illegal sexual activity. For example, someone could have a family member who is abusing a child using sexual activity. That's not necessarily sex trafficking. if a grandparent abuses a grandchild sexually, and even if they might reward them with cookies or pizza or a new outfit, that's not necessarily sex trafficking. But if the grandparent calls the neighbor over and offers the child for pay, that would be sex trafficking.
Okay.
So the trafficking component has to do with commerce, I guess, for lack of a better word. I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just trying to give some sort of explanation as to when does sexual abuse become trafficking.
Are y'all hearing more of this now as legislators than you heard a few years back? Since P. Diddy's situation and Epstein and all this is in the news, is it common talk in Baton Rouge now?
I would say common, getting more common, unfortunately, but in a way that's a good thing, because what we do know is that Louisiana is at the top of a bad list, again, with human trafficking. We rank very high, maybe the highest, it depends on who's doing the list, among all the states in the occurrences of human trafficking within our state. So hearing about it more is probably a good thing, because awareness is going to help us to change things. In the past several years, we have seen some efforts in the legislature to pass laws that make this more and more difficult, and that bring greater and greater penalties.
Yeah.
And so even though Louisiana right now is at a very high spot on the list among states with human trafficking, we are also one of the states with some of the best human trafficking laws on the books. And we probably have some more that we could propose and pass. So
it just blows my mind, Marina. It just blows my mind that we're even talking about this. I mean, we have to talk about it, but I can't fathom this. Are y'all getting a lot of reaction about the show coming up on this?
Yes, we are. We made a concerted effort this time to contact churches.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of good feedback from that.
Father Jeff has been doing so many shows on this throughout the years, but I bet he's going to bring some valuable information.
Yes. Like I said, we had a meeting in Thibodeau last year. Yeah. And afterward, there were actually 3 people that came to me after and said I was trafficked. And I haven't spoken about it, but, thank you for doing this.
So Danielle, this may give people a chance to, I don't want to use the word vent, but come forward and have a little more peace about what they've been through.
Perhaps, and I think just educating the community on what to be looking for is really important. We saw today, Marina sent me a tweet, I believe, or a Facebook post by Governor Landry talking about the work they're doing in advance of the Super Bowl. So this is top of his mind. I think it's top of our Attorney General Liz Murrow's mind. And it's an important thing for us to be discussing leading into Mardi Gras and Super Bowl, which are huge, huge opportunity zones for this kind of horrible commerce, as Beryl said.
Let's do this. Let's roll in, if we can, Jason. Let's roll in the governor's PSA. I guess we'll call it a PSA, and roll it in, because it means that everybody's on board with this.
In Louisiana, we're committed to tackling human trafficking.
Human trafficking is a crime that occurs when someone is forced, tricked, or coerced to work or to provide commercial sex.
Human trafficking is a crime that can happen in any community.
Do you have a game plan to protect yourself?
Text HELP to be free or scan the QR code.
Let's tackle human trafficking
together.
That's a strong commercial with about 20 seconds left, Beryl. Just the fact that you have to make a commercial like this tells me we got to go in that direction.
Yes, it's unfortunate, but the commercial is a good thing because it means we're trying to do something about it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back with representatives from the district attorney's office.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
So Governor Landry decided to sign a proclamation to make today the 13th National Human Trafficking Awareness Month. I mean, to go with the National Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So now we celebrate it on a state level as well with the Wear Blue campaign. So we like to wear blue because it symbolizes the coldness of the traffickers' hearts and also the sadness of the trafficking victims, since this is a crime that is very taboo and there's a lot of shame that the victims have to overcome whenever they do report it.
You know, I wore a blue tie by accident today, and Marina said, "You're wearing blue," and I'm going, "Well, what does that mean?" Y'all are giving me some good information here today. I want to turn to Taylor Jackson. She's also a trafficking care coordinator for the Terrebonne Children's Advocacy here in the area. Oh, you know, I'm hearing these numbers statewide picking up. What about Terrebonne Parish? I mean, I did a show a while back, and it was almost like there were no registered reports yet.
Right.
Has that gone up?
So it has. It's 25% with like clear concern, confirmed victims, and 32% with suspected possible concern. So
Yeah, because this is I imagine the investigations on this are pretty intense, and like Ms. Barrow Amade was saying, they jump from category to category. So, I mean, how aware should the public be going into this? They need to have their antennas out at this point, right?
yes, very, very aware.
How do you keep the kids safe?
So really education, as they were saying in the previous segment, being able as a parent to educate yourself and be able to tell your child as well what to look for, what to watch out for, as many of our children today are all on social media, gaming platforms, especially like Roblox. A lot of younger kids are on that and not even knowing that they have predators on there, and just like an online chat room and just looking for somebody to talk to, hang with. So we also want to make sure that we are establishing those connections and those strong relationships with our children. That way they aren't targeted by those perpetrators and stuff.
So Madison, let me ask you, these phones, kids are getting them younger and younger, and they're very proficient in using them. But the predators are equally proficient at getting into their world. What can the parent do? What kind of questions can they ask? And what age should the kids start? I know that's a tough question.
Yeah.
But what age should they start being able to use a phone?
Well, there was actually a study that says, like, even at 13, which is kind of the typical, oh my gosh, you know, I have my phone, get to talk to all my friends. There's been a couple psychological studies that even say 13 is way too young, you know, just from the mental impact it has, you know, even outside of human trafficking, you know, because one of the biggest, I guess, signs, or not signs, I can't think of the word, but one of the biggest things that predators look for is vulnerabilities in children. And whenever a child is constantly comparing themselves to others online, that's just going to create this massive insecurity. So while there's no specific age to where it's like, okay, you know, your brain is absolutely developed enough to deal with these issues or these peer conflicts, you know, you really have to just be, like Taylor said, in constant communication with your children. Ensuring that, you know, they know the dangers that can occur right at home. You know, this isn't an issue that is so far in the distance. You know, it's not, oh, it's only in other countries, or, you know, if you're close to the border. No, it's absolutely happening in our parish.
I remember when we were growing up and Marina was growing up, and you couldn't put on makeup till later. The parents would fight you on it, and you had to have a pass from the law to get makeup and all kind of stuff. But Taylor, younger and younger, you've seen them, and they make themselves look like they're older and different things. So it does start at the home with the awareness, doesn't it?
Definitely. Yes. So like she was saying as well, just knowing exactly what to look for and making yourself aware of these things. And like you said, keeping your child safe and knowing, even though you shouldn't have to dress your child a certain way to look out for these predators or anything, but it's an issue that we have today as well. So
yeah, we appreciate what y'all are doing with the Advocacy Center. Marina, I want to bring up the flyer again. What are you hoping to get out of Thursday's program, just on the whole?
Well, we're hoping to bring, the title of it is Breaking the Silence. We're hoping to open up communication between different organizations and allowing the information to flow to the public. Things like the online information, guidelines of when you go into public, what safeguards should you have, what boundaries should you have with your children. Sure. So it's basically going to be bringing the information of a subject that is super difficult to talk about. And Father Bayou does a really good job of talking about it in a good way, that it's not really hard to sit there and listen to.
Right.
So I think it's just bringing information, exposing the truth, and then working from there to find solutions for it. And we definitely want to showcase the organizations in our area that are already doing amazing work, and allow them a place to speak.
Well, thank you all so much for coming. We're definitely going to be there Thursday. It's much needed conversation. And even if it's not an epidemic now, the national trend is epidemic. Mm-hmm. So it normally follows state by state. Thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
All right. And we will see everybody Thursday. We're going to be taping that meeting, bringing it back to HTV. So you will see it in its entirety. Thank you all for joining us. We'll have more in these programs. We'll be back after our break.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bourke, know your rights.